Hi, I'm Mitchell from DPReview, and this is the Nikon ZR. It's a full-frame, video-focused camera, and the first from Nikon to carry the Red branding since it acquired the company last year. It's essentially a video version of the Z6 III. Like the Sony FX line, it takes a mix of ingredients from a more hybrid camera and puts them in a video-focused body. Like the FX III, it emits a mechanical shutter and viewfinder in the process. However, it gains Red branding and a version of the company's raw codec. The interface, menus, and capabilities, though, are purely Nikon, which suggests that it received the branding later on rather than having input from the cinema company from the start. From Nikon, it inherits the 24-megapixel partially stacked sensor that we saw in the Z6 III. It also has the company's autofocus system, including subject recognition, and 5-axis stabilization, which aren't things that you generally find in cinema cameras. It can shoot 6K at up to 60p in NRAW or Red Code RAW, and there's plenty of other H.265 10-bit options alongside ProRes and ProRes RAW. In a first for mirrorless cameras, it also has 32-bit float audio internally, even through the 3.5mm microphone socket. It's a different way of recording audio that makes it so that you don't have to worry too much about your gain settings outside of what your microphone is physically capable of capturing. Nikon says that the version of Red Code RAW included with this camera provides more flexibility than NRAW, and lets the camera slot in alongside those cinema models in terms of workflow. You can even use LUTs designed for them to grade footage from this. The Red flavor of RAW also changes the way the camera behaves, with the ZR locking to either its sensor's low or high gain step. Changing the ISO setting changes the metadata tag and will capture a different balance of highlights and shadows, but it doesn't adjust the underlying gain level. This approach, sometimes called CineEI for exposure index, gives you maximum processing flexibility in post. For all the ZR's cinema camera vibes, it does have a lot of logging-focused features as well. For example, the internal microphones use Nokia's Ozo system to record sounds from different directions when you're presenting to it. However, that only works in the camera's compressed H.264 or H.265 modes. The camera's controls and ports are also more suited to smaller scale productions. For example, it uses a rather fragile micro HDMI port instead of the more robust full-size one, and though its primary storage is CFexpress Type B, its second slot uses a slower version of microSD, which is more suited to transferring LUTs and settings because it's too slow to even record proxy files to. There's also only a single Q20 tripod socket, which makes it a bit harder to mount vertically or to attach accessories. However, we're told that SmallRig does have plans to make a cage for it that adds a bunch of mounting points, as well as an accessory back that adds support for industry standard V-mount batteries. There's only a handful of buttons, and by default they're mapped to things like exposure compensation and exposure mode, rather than white balance or focus and exposure assistance tools, though you can remap them in settings. There is, however, a front-facing record button and a tally light, both of which will be useful if you're trying to record yourself. So will the massive 4-inch and 1000-nit display, though that's pretty much useful for anything. When it comes to price, it's clearly aimed more towards consumers and owner-operators rather than rental houses, production companies, or studios. And in fact, it's appreciably cheaper than a Z6 III. So if you're, say, a film student who's not particularly interested in photography, you can get all the capabilities that camera has, and more, for less money. The ZR is an impressively spec'd piece of kit, and its choice of recording formats and high-end audio options make it a serious rival to the likes of the Sony FX III and even some of Blackmagic's cinema cameras. We also think that Nikon's use of the Red branding is especially interesting. It seems like it wants the world to know that it's very serious about video. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below and on our forums. Thanks for watching.